The ground was cracked and dry. Smoke curled from the edge of the field. The battle had ended hours ago, but its smell still hung in the air. Metal and fire. Dust and blood. The sun, hidden behind heavy clouds, gave no warmth. Tarn stood near a broken wall, holding his helmet under one arm. His other hand was wrapped in a cloth stained with dirt. His eyes moved slowly over the wreckage, searching for signs of life. Human soldiers walked by him without speaking. Some carried wounded. Others carried pieces of equipment. No one looked back. He stepped over a piece of broken armor, then paused. A soft sound came from the rubble nearby. Not loud, just a breath. A whisper. A voice that did not belong to any human. Tarn knelt down and pulled aside a shattered piece of steel. His eyes met a pair of dark, sharp ones, eyes full of pain and pride. It was Relo, a Varnak warrior. The alien lay half-buried under fallen debris. His armor was bent and scorched. His breathing was shallow. One arm was bent at a strange angle. His lower body did not move at all. Tarn glanced around. There were other soldiers nearby, but none of them seemed to care. No one stopped. No one even looked in Relo's direction. Tarn pressed the radio at his collar. "This is Private Tarn at Sector 3. I found a Varnak soldier, alive. He's injured bad. Paralyzed, maybe." The reply came quickly. "Leave him. Medics are not wasting resources on Varnak units. Confirm and move to the regroup zone." Tarn looked back at Relo. The alien's face was tight with pain, but his eyes held no fear. Only silence. Only waiting. Tarn turned off his radio. He dropped his helmet and crouched beside the alien. "Can you hear me?" Relo blinked once. "You're hurt. I can carry you, but it's going to be rough. I can't promise it won't hurt more." Relo's voice was deep and rough, but clear. "Why?" Tarn didn't answer right away. He looked up again. Soldiers kept walking. None of them stopped. They didn't care. Tarn met Relo's eyes again. "Because no one else will." It took nearly 20 minutes to clear the debris around Relo's body. Tarn moved carefully. Each piece he lifted revealed more damage. The Varnak's legs were crushed. His breathing grew harder with every movement. Tarn removed a foldable stretcher from his pack. He unfolded it on the ground, then carefully shifted Relo onto it. The alien grunted in pain but did not cry out. When Tarn finally stood up, gripping the handles of the stretcher, his back ached. He started walking. Each step was slow. The ground was rough and the weight was heavy. But Tarn did not stop. Other soldiers passed them, some looked away. Others frowned. A few laughed. "You wasting your time, Tarn? He's already dead, just doesn't know it yet." "Should have let the dirt cover him." Tarn said nothing. He kept walking. By the time he reached the edge of the camp, his arms were shaking. A guard at the checkpoint stepped forward. "What's this?" Tarn wiped his forehead with his sleeve. "Varnak warrior. Found him alive. He needs help." The guard looked at Relo and shook his head. "You're not bringing him in." "Orders are clear." Tarn didn't move. "Then get the officer." Minutes later, Major Tren arrived. His uniform was spotless. His boots clicked against the stone floor. He looked at Tarn, then at Relo. "You brought that here?" Tarn stood straight. "Yes, sir." He was left behind. Still breathing. Still alive. Tren narrowed his eyes. "The Varnak are not our concern anymore. Their command says any injured beyond saving are to be left. We do not spend human supplies on broken aliens." Tarn did not move. "Sir, he fought with us. He helped protect the north flank. He saved 3 of our men during the retreat." "I saw it." Tren gave a short breath, "and now he's useless. His legs are gone. We do not need more mouths to feed or beds to fill." Tarn stepped closer. "Then I'll take responsibility. I'll care for him myself." Tren studied him for a long moment. "You're wasting your time, Private. But fine, you want him, he's yours. He gets no medic priority, no supplies, and no bed. Keep him out of the way." Tarn nodded. "Understood, sir." He found a quiet spot near the edge of the supply tent and set up a shelter there. It was small, but it kept the wind off. He rolled out blankets and placed Relo carefully on them. Relo looked up at him. "You shame your own kind." Tarn raised an eyebrow. "How's that?" "You carry what others throw away." Tarn shrugged. "Then maybe they should think twice about what they throw." He brought Relo water and shared some of his rations. He did not speak much. He only stayed close and watched the alien's breathing, checking for signs of fever or shock. That night, Tarn cleaned Relo's wounds with the little medical gel he had. He wrapped the damaged arm and gently straightened it as best he could. Relo said nothing, but his eyes stayed open. When the stars came out, Tarn leaned back against the wall and looked at the sky. Do the Varnak believe in stars? Relo was quiet for a moment. We believe they are the eyes of our ancestors, watching our deeds. Tarn smiled slightly. Then I hope they see this. Relo turned his head slowly. Why do you care, human? Tarn didn't look away from the stars. Because I was once the one left behind. Someone came back for me. Now it's my turn. Over the next few days, the camp remained busy. Repairs, drills, patrols. Most soldiers ignored Tarn and Relo. Some whispered. Others shook their heads. Tarn didn't care. He found parts from broken machines. He started building a mobile chair from scrap. It had wheels from an old scout drone and power cells from a supply hauler. He worked late into the night. Hands greasy, eyes tired. Relo watched from his blanket. Silent, but not ungrateful. By the 5th day, the chair was ready. Tarn tested it, then lifted Relo carefully into the seat. The alien shifted uncomfortably. You made this? Tarn nodded. It's not perfect, but it'll move you around. Relo stared at him. No one has ever done this for me. Tarn smiled. Then maybe it's time. Someone did. The small mobile chair hummed softly as Tarn guided it across the rough ground near the camp. Relo sat stiffly, arms resting on the supports, his eyes sharp and thoughtful despite the silence. For the first time in days, he could see the world from a different height, moving slowly but surely. Tarn pushed the chair gently, careful not to jostle the alien too much. Around them, the camp was alive with the sounds of repair and preparation. Soldiers shouted orders. Machines clanked. But most people avoided looking their way. Rumors had already spread about Tarn carrying a wounded Varnak warrior. Some whispered in suspicion, others in disgust. At the command tent, Major Tren sat behind his desk, tapping his fingers on a holographic map. Tarn approached cautiously. The Major's cold gaze met him. Report, Tren said without looking up. Tarn swallowed. The chair is functional, sir. Relo can move with it. It will help him recover some strength. Tren's voice was sharp. Why do you waste your time and our resources on a crippled enemy? Tarn squared his shoulders. Relo saved lives on the field. He fought with us. He deserves a chance. The Major shook his head. You are disobeying orders. Your loyalty should be to your own people first. The Varnak are not our allies. They are a dangerous species. They have no place here. Tarn held the gaze steadily. He is more than that. We fought side by side. It is our duty to help those who fought with us. Tren leaned back, voice cold but low. You risk your career for this alien. Remember that, Private. Tarn left the tent with a heavy heart but without regret. He knew the risks. He also knew he could not abandon Relo. In the medical bay, Tarn found Hen, a young Varnak technician with bright eyes and careful hands. Hen was the only other person who had shown kindness toward Relo since the battle. Relo is improving, Tarn said quietly, but we need better support if he is to recover. Hen nodded. I will help you. There are supplies hidden in the old storage unit, parts for mobility aids. They can be used? Tarn smiled with relief. Thank you, Hen. Your help means more than you know. Together they gathered the parts, working under the dim lights of the storage room. Tarn learned more about Varnak culture from Hen, who spoke softly of honor, courage, and the ancient wars fought by their ancestors. You remind me of my grandfather, Hen said one evening as they repaired the chair's control panel. He believed in fighting for what is right even when no one else would. Tarn looked up. Then you have a brave grandfather. Hen smiled shyly. And I hope I can be brave too. Days passed and Relo's strength slowly returned. His breathing was steadier. His eyes no longer held pain but a quiet determination. The mobile chair became their lifeline. One morning, Tarn brought Relo to watch the training drills. Soldiers practiced hand-to-hand combat, weapon handling, and tactics. Relo's gaze followed the movements, a flicker of something like pride in his eyes. They fight well, Relo said softly. Stronger than many I have seen, Tarn smiled. They do, but they have much to learn about honor and respect. Suddenly, a group of Varnak warriors approached, their faces hard and cold. They stopped beside Relo and Tarn. Relo, one said, voice sharp. You bring shame to our name. You sit like a wounded animal while others fight. Why do you accept this? Relo met their gaze steadily. I am not finished. I will fight again. Tarn stepped forward, voice firm. You will fight with honor as a warrior should, the Varnak sneered. And you, human, are you a fool to defend this broken pride? Tarn did not back down. I defend what is right, no matter the shape or size. The tension thickened, but before it could break, a call came from the command tent. Everyone, back to your posts. Drill's over. The Varnak warriors retreated, but the words hung in the air. That night, Tarn sat beside Relo, who was deep in thought. Why did they hate me so much? Relo asked. Because you show them what they fear, Tarn replied. Weakness is not accepted, even if it is temporary. Relo nodded slowly. They forget that a warrior's strength is not only in the body. Tarn looked at him. And that even a broken warrior can inspire courage. Relo smiled faintly. You are a strange human, Tarn chuckled. Maybe, but I believe in people, even when they don't believe in themselves. Trouble came unexpectedly. One afternoon, Hen hurried to Tarn with a worried face. Private Tarn, there is something you must see. They met near the underground tunnels used for supplies. Hen held a small device that showed movement patterns and energy readings. Enemy Varnak raiders are planning an attack. They will strike the base soon, Hen said. Tarn's eyes darkened. Why didn't the commanders act on this? Hen shook his head. They do not believe us. They think it is a trick or an exaggeration. Tarn clenched his fists. Then we must prove it. They decided to investigate the tunnels themselves, risking punishment. The tunnels were dark and narrow, echoing with distant sounds. Tarn moved slowly, pushing Rilo's chair carefully through the shadows, and scanned the walls and floors looking for signs of traps or explosives. After an hour of careful searching, Hen pointed to a patch of ground near a support beam. Look here. Tarn knelt and found wires hidden beneath loose stones. They plan to blow this up, he said grimly. Rilo's eyes narrowed. This is an attack on all of us. We must warn the others, Hen nodded. But the commanders will not listen. Tarn's voice was steady. Then we will make them listen. They hurried back to the base carrying the proof. Tarn and Hen requested an emergency meeting with Major Tren. The major looked tired but wary. We have information about a planned enemy raid, Tarn explained, and proof of explosives in the tunnels. Tren frowned. And why should I believe this? You two have been working outside orders. Hen stepped forward, voice calm and clear. Because this is the truth. Relo, from his chair, spoke slowly but firmly. We have seen the signs. If we do not act, many will die. For a moment, silence filled the room. Then Tren sighed. Prepare defenses. I will order extra patrols in the tunnels. But if this is a false alarm, you will be punished, Tarn nodded. Understood, sir. That night, Tarn checked on Relo. You did well today, he said. Relo smiled softly. I fight in my own way. Tarn looked at the stars again. We will face what comes, together. Relo's voice was steady. Not alone anymore. The night was cold and silent. Stars shone above the base, but below, tension filled the air. Soldiers moved quietly, preparing for what might come. Tarn stayed near Relo, watching the dark tunnels that led into the camp. His hands rested on the controls of the mobile chair. The soft hum was the only sound in the quiet corner. The warning had spread. Patrols doubled. Weapons were checked. Everyone waited. Minutes felt like hours. Suddenly, a distant explosion broke the silence. A blast rocked the base. Dust and debris flew into the air. Soldiers shouted warnings as alarms began to sound. Tarn gripped Relo's chair tightly. It started. Relo nodded, eyes sharp despite his injuries. Show me. Tarn pushed the chair toward the tunnel entrance. Flames flickered ahead, smoke rising in thick clouds. The raiders had come, sneaking through the tunnels, using the explosions to hide their approach. The base was ready, but not fully. Guards fired at shadowy figures rushing in. The battle was chaos. Soldiers shouted orders, moved quickly to block the attackers. Tarn saw a group of raiders pushing through a side gate. He called out to the nearby patrol, "Left flank!" Raiders breaking through. 2 soldiers ran to block the attackers. Relo's chair followed slowly, Tarn steering through the rough ground. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed. The chair jolted as something hit the ground nearby. A raider soldier had spotted them. "Cover me!" Tarn shouted. Relo's eyes burned with focus. The raider fired again. This time, a sharp sting hit Tarn's arm. He gritted his teeth but kept moving. They reached a small group of soldiers trapped behind crates. The raiders were closing in fast. Relo, despite his injuries, raised his good arm and shouted in a deep voice. His command was strong and clear, a sound that cut through the battle noise. Hold your line. Do not fall. The soldiers turned, pushed back with renewed strength. Tarn helped steady Relo as he leaned forward, the chair's controls responding smoothly. They fought side by side, Tarn firing his rifle, Relo shouting orders. Slowly, the raiders were pushed back. Suddenly, a sharp cry came from the rear. Tarn turned his head. A young soldier was pinned under a fallen beam. His leg was trapped. The raiders were closing in. Without thinking, Tarn shouted, "Help! Someone get him out!" No one came quickly enough. Tarn released the chair's brakes and pushed toward the soldier. Bullets whizzed past. The beam was heavy, but Tarn's strength, driven by urgency, moved it enough to free the trapped man. Relo watched closely. "You risk yourself for others, a true warrior," he said quietly. Tarn helped the soldier to safety, then returned to Relo. The battle continued, but the tide was turning. After hours of fighting, the raiders began to retreat. Their numbers were fewer now, their energy spent. Major Tren appeared, his face serious but relieved. "Well done, Tarn. You and the Varnak warrior helped save the camp." Tarn nodded, tired but proud. Tren looked at Relo, then back at Tarn. "Perhaps there is more to this alliance than I thought." Relo managed a small smile. "We fight not as enemies, but as brothers." The next day was quiet but tense. Soldiers repaired the damage. Tarn checked on Relo, who was resting. "We survived," Tarn said softly. Relo nodded. "Because you stepped forward when others turned away." Tarn smiled. "You taught me much, Relo, about courage and honor." Relo's eyes held a new light. "There is still much to learn," he said. "And the fight is not over," Tarn agreed. "Then we face it together." The sun rose slowly over the damaged base, casting long shadows across the battlefield's remains. Tarn moved carefully, pushing Relo's mobile chair along the path toward the command center. The air was still thick with dust and the scent of burned metal. Soldiers worked quietly, repairing what they could, their faces tired but determined. Inside the command center, Major Tren sat behind his desk, reviewing reports from the night before. The successful defense against the raiders had surprised many, but no one more than Tren himself. Tarn and Relo's efforts had saved countless lives. Tarn entered the room, his footsteps steady. He stopped before the desk, waiting for the major to speak. Tren looked up. "Private Tarn, you did well. The soldiers respect you more now." Tarn nodded. "Thank you, sir." Relo's leadership helped too. Tren's eyes narrowed slightly. He's not just any warrior. The Varnak are a proud and difficult people. They rarely accept help from others. Relo, sitting beside Tarn in his chair, lifted his head. "I am learning to trust." Tren's expression softened a little. "Trust is earned and tested." Later that day, Tarn and Relo joined a group of soldiers for a planning meeting. The threat of new attacks still hung over the base. The enemy raiders would return if they sensed weakness. Captain Lena, a sharp and careful leader, spoke clearly. "We must prepare better defenses. We can't rely on luck." She looked at Tarn and Relo. "Your teamwork proved useful. We will assign you to lead a small squad for patrols and quick responses." Relo's eyes flicked toward Tarn. "I will follow," Tarn said firmly. The captain nodded. "Good, but remember, trust must grow. Your team may have doubts." Over the next days, Tarn and Relo trained with the squad. The soldiers were cautious but curious. Some kept their distance. Others asked questions, trying to understand the alien warrior who had become part of their group. One evening, around the campfire, a young soldier named Mika approached Tarn. "I didn't expect to like having a Varnak here," Mika said, his voice low. "But Relo is strong. He's brave," Tarn smiled. "He is more than that. He teaches us about courage in different forms." Mika nodded. "I want to learn." Relo listened quietly, then spoke. "Strength is not only in fighting. It is in heart and mind." Trust slowly grew in small ways. Relo shared stories of his home world, of battles fought for honor and peace. Tarn shared his own memories of childhood, dreams of being more than just a soldier. Together, they found common ground, but tests were coming. One morning, patrol reports warned of enemy movements near the northern ridge. Tarn and his squad prepared quickly. They loaded weapons and checked equipment. Relo's chair was upgraded with new parts from the base's supply. Captain Lena gave final orders. "Move out. Find and stop the raiders before they reach the base." The squad moved through rocky hills, alert and silent. The wind whispered through the stones. Tarn guided Relo carefully. The squad spread out, watching for signs of the enemy. Suddenly, a scout shouted, "Raiders spotted! Up ahead!" The squad moved into position. Tarn's heart beat faster. The enemy was close. Relo's voice was steady. "Prepare to fight. Stay close." The raiders appeared over a ridge, fast and fierce. The battle began. Ranged weapons fired. Soldiers took cover behind rocks. Tarn directed the squad, moving with Relo's guidance. Suddenly, a young soldier stumbled and fell. Raiders rushed forward to capture him. Without hesitation, Tarn dashed forward. His rifle fired in quick bursts, keeping the enemy at bay. Relo followed, chair moving swiftly over the rough ground. Despite his injuries, the alien's presence was strong. Together, they reached the trapped soldier. Tarn helped him up. Relo's voice cut through the noise. "Hold steady. Fight with honor!" The squad regrouped and pushed back the raiders. After the fight, the squad gathered to count their losses. There were injuries, but no deaths. Relief filled the air. Captain Lena looked at Tarn and Rilo. "You saved lives today. Your trust and teamwork made the difference," Tarn nodded. "We will keep fighting together." Relo smiled softly. "We are stronger as one." Back at the base, Tarn and Relo returned to the quiet shelter. The stars above were bright and steady. Relo looked at Tarn. "I have learned much. Not only about fighting, but about friendship," Tarn smiled. "And I have learned that strength is more than muscle." Relo's eyes shone. "Together we face whatever comes." Tarn nodded. "Together." The days passed with a quiet tension settling over the base. The soldiers were alert, knowing the enemy might return at any moment. Tarn and Rilo continued their patrols, working closely with their squad, building trust and strength together. Yet, beneath the surface, a new danger was growing, one that no one yet saw. One afternoon, Tarn was called to the command center. Major Tren awaited him, his face serious. "Private Tarn," Tren began, "we have received reports of strange signals coming from the far side of the moon." Tarn's brow furrowed. "Signals, sir?" Tren nodded. "Unusual energy readings. Not from any known technology. We need you and Rilo to investigate." Rilo, who was nearby, looked up. "A task for the brave." Tarn smiled slightly. "We will not fail." The next morning, Tarn, Rilo, and a small team boarded a scout ship. The ship's engines hummed softly as it lifted off, leaving the dusty surface of the base behind. The far side of the moon was dark and silent. Strange shadows stretched across the rocky landscape. The team landed near a cluster of jagged rocks, the source of the signals somewhere beyond. Tarn checked the scanners. "The energy readings are coming from that direction." They moved carefully, weapons ready. The ground was rough and uneven, and the silence was deep. The team's footsteps echoed softly in their helmets. Suddenly, the scanners beeped rapidly. Tarn's eyes widened. "We are close." As they approached, a strange device came into view. It was unlike anything Tarn or Rilo had seen before. A metallic structure pulsing with light, half buried in the ground. Rilo examined it. "This is not from any known enemy." Tarn touched the device cautiously. The light changed colors as if responding to their presence. Could it be a trap? Tarn wondered aloud. Before anyone could answer, a sudden sound came from the rocks behind them, a low growl, deep and threatening. From the shadows, a large creature appeared, its eyes glowing with fierce light. It was unlike any alien Tarn had met before, tall, strong, and wild. The creature charged, the team scattered, firing weapons to keep the beast at bay. Tarn pushed Rilo behind a rock, trying to protect him. Rilo's voice was calm but strong. "Do not fear. Stand together." The creature struck at the rocks, making the ground tremble. Tarn fired carefully, aiming to slow it down without harming it too much. Rilo reached out with one hand. "We must find peace." The creature hesitated, sensing something different in Rilo's voice. Slowly it backed away, growling but no longer attacking. After the creature disappeared into the shadows, Tarn and Rilo studied the device more closely. "It is sending a signal," Rilo said. "A call for help or warning," Tarn nodded. "We must report this. It could be the beginning of something bigger." Back at the base, the news was met with concern. Major Tren called a meeting of the highest commanders. "We have found a new threat," Tarn explained. "An unknown device emitting strange signals, and a creature guarding it." Tren frowned. "This could change everything," Rilo added. "We must be ready for what comes." The commanders agreed to increase patrols and research the device. Days later, Tarn and Rilo worked with scientists studying the device. It seemed to be part of an ancient warning system, left by a civilization long gone. Tarn asked, "Could this be connected to the raiders?" A scientist replied, "It is possible. The raiders may be searching for this technology." Rilo nodded. "We must protect it." One evening, Tarn and Rilo walked under the stars. Tarn looked at his friend. "We have come far, haven't we?" Rilo smiled. "From enemies to allies," Tarn laughed softly. "And perhaps more." They both knew the future held many challenges, but together they were ready. The base had become a place of constant vigilance. Soldiers patrolled every corner, and the scientists worked tirelessly to understand the mysterious device. Tarn and Rilo were at the center of it all, balancing their duties as warriors and protectors. One morning, Tarn stood beside Rilo, looking out over the rocky landscape. The sun was just rising, casting a soft orange glow across the craters and hills. "Do you think the raiders will come back?" Tarn asked quietly. Rilo's eyes scanned the horizon. "They will. They always return when they smell weakness." Tarn nodded. "Then we must be ready." Inside the command center, Major Tren gathered the leaders of the base. The reports were worrying. Strange movements had been detected near the outer sectors. Scouts reported shadows that moved too fast, too silent. "We cannot wait for an attack," Tren said firmly. "We must strike first." Captain Lena looked at Tarn and Rilo. "We need your team to lead a mission. Find the raiders' camp and gather information." Tarn felt the weight of the task. "We will not fail," Rilo added. "The shadows hide many dangers. We must be cautious." That night, Tarn and Rilo prepared with their squad. The soldiers checked weapons and gear. Tarn's hands moved quickly, double-checking the scanners and communication devices. Rilo's chair was upgraded again, adding armor plates and faster motors. Despite his injury, the alien warrior's strength was clear in his steady gaze. "Remember," Tarn said, "we fight for our home, for each other." The squad nodded. "Ready?" The scout ship lifted off silently, heading toward the suspected raider camp. The journey was tense but quiet. Tarn watched the dark landscape below, searching for signs. Suddenly, the ship's sensors beeped. "We have contact," Tarn said. "Raiders ahead." The camp was hidden in a narrow valley surrounded by rocky cliffs. Tarn's squad landed a short distance away and moved carefully through the shadows. Rilo led the way, his senses sharp despite his injury. The group stayed low, avoiding patrols and traps. Inside the camp, raiders moved around fires, speaking in harsh voices. Tarn and Rilo observed quietly. Gathering information, they saw weapons being loaded, ships being repaired, and strange devices similar to the one found on the moon. Rilo whispered. "They are searching for power," Tarn nodded. "We must stop them." Suddenly, a patrol approached. Tarn held his breath as the soldiers passed close. The squad moved swiftly to avoid detection, but a small noise betrayed them. A branch snapped underfoot. The raiders turned, shouting warnings. "Fight!" Tarn ordered. The battle was fierce but quick. Tarn's squad fought with skill and determination. Rilo used his strength and strategy, directing movements and helping injured soldiers. The raiders were surprised and unprepared. Soon they began to retreat, leaving behind their camp. Tarn and Rilo searched the camp for clues. Among the equipment, they found maps and data crystals showing the location of other hidden devices across the moon. "This is bigger than we thought," Tarn said. "They want to control all these devices." Rilo looked at the maps. "If they succeed, they could destroy our base." Tarn's face grew serious. "We have to warn the commanders." Back at the base, the news spread quickly. The leaders realized the danger was greater than before. Major Tren addressed the soldiers. "The enemy wants to take control of these ancient devices. If they do, we could lose everything." Captain Lena stepped forward. "We must protect the devices and stop the raiders for good." Tarn and Rilo exchanged determined looks. "We will lead the fight," Tarn said. Rilo nodded. "Together we are strong." That night, Tarn sat with Rilo under the stars. The weight of the coming battle was heavy. "You have taught me much about courage," Tarn said quietly. "And you have shown me the strength of humanity," Rilo replied. The future was uncertain, but their bond was clear. Together, they would face the darkness. The base was quiet but tense. Soldiers prepared for what many hoped would be the last battle. Tarn and Rilo moved through the halls, checking on their squad, sharing words of encouragement. Each face reflected a mix of fear and determination. In the command center, Major Tren stood before a large holographic map. The glowing blue points marked the locations of the ancient devices. The raiders had already tried to capture several. Time was running out. "We strike tonight," Tren said. "We will protect our home and end this threat." Tarn nodded. "We are ready." Relo's eyes were calm but fierce. "We fight for honor and for peace." The plan was simple but risky. The squad would split into teams, each targeting one of the devices. Tarn and Relo led the team assigned to the device nearest the base's outer wall. The sun began to set as the teams boarded their ships. The sky darkened, stars appearing one by one. The cool night air filled the base with quiet energy. Tarn looked at Relo. "Whatever happens, we face it together." Relo's chair moved forward steadily. Always, the ship landed near the device. The team moved quickly and quietly through the rocky terrain. Tarn's senses were sharp, every shadow a possible threat. Suddenly, the raiders appeared, blocking the path. The enemy was waiting. "Ambush!" Tarn shouted. The battle erupted with sudden violence. Lasers fired, weapons clashed, and the air filled with the sounds of combat. Tarn fought with skill, protecting the soldiers around him. Relo used his strength to block attacks and push forward. Despite the enemy's numbers, the team held their ground. As the fight continued, Tarn spotted a group of raiders trying to reach the device. If they succeeded, the battle would be lost. "Stop them," Tarn ordered. He and Relo raced toward the attackers. The device pulsed with light, its energy growing stronger. The raiders reached the device and began activating it. Relo's voice was strong. "No one touches the heart of our home." With a sudden charge, Rilo knocked the nearest raider away. Tarn fired, disabling another. The battle was fierce, but their determination was stronger. Suddenly, the device released a burst of energy, sending waves of light across the area. The raiders were thrown back, stunned. Tarn and Rilo moved quickly to secure the device. "We must shut it down," Tarn said. Relo nodded, scanning the controls. "I will disable its power." Working together, they managed to stop the device's energy flow. The light faded and the area grew calm. The raiders, seeing their plan fail, began to retreat. Tarn and Relo's team returned to base victorious but exhausted. The other teams had also succeeded. The raiders had lost their chance to control the devices. In the command center, Major Tren praised the soldiers. "You have saved us all," Captain Lena smiled. "Your bravery will be remembered." Tarn looked at Relo, pride shining in his eyes. "We did this together," Tarn said. Relo smiled softly. "Together, we are stronger." Days later, peace returned to the base. Repairs were made and life slowly returned to normal. Tarn and Rilo continued their friendship, learning from each other every day. One evening, Tarn asked, "What now, my friend?" Relo looked up at the stars. "Now we protect our future," Tarn smiled. "Together." Their journey had been hard, but they knew this was only the beginning of many adventures to come. The quiet after the battle was almost strange. The base no longer buzzed with urgent warnings or flashing alarms. Instead, soft voices and steady footsteps filled the halls. The soldiers were rebuilding, but now with hope. Tarn walked alongside Relo through the repaired corridors. The alien warrior's chair moved smoothly on its new parts, his eyes calm and thoughtful. "We fought well," Tarn said. "But I wonder what comes next." Relo nodded. "Peace is not the end. It is a new beginning." In the command center, Major Tren was speaking with Captain Lena and the scientists. The data from the ancient devices was being studied carefully. They held secrets about the history of the moon and the galaxy itself. Captain Lena turned to Tarn and Relo. "Your courage gave us a chance to learn. Now we can use this knowledge to build a better future." Relo's eyes glowed softly. Knowledge is power, but wisdom guides its use. Over the following weeks, Tarn and Relo helped train new soldiers. The bond between human and Varnak had become a symbol of unity for the entire base. Stories of their bravery were shared around campfires, inspiring others. One day, a message arrived from the distant human fleet. The commander invited Tarn and Relo to join a new mission, to explore uncharted space and protect other colonies from hidden threats. Tarn looked at Relo, excitement and concern mixing in his expression. "This could be our chance to do more." Relo's smile was steady. "The stars call us. We must answer." Before they left, the base held a ceremony. Soldiers and scientists gathered to honor those who had fought and those who had fallen. Major Trend stepped forward. Today we celebrate not only victory, but the unity between species. Together we faced darkness and won. Tarn felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned to see Rilo's proud face. May our friendship guide the way, Rilo said. The ship that would carry them was ready, sleek, strong, and equipped with the best technology the base had to offer. Tarn and Rilo stood side by side as the engines hummed to life. The hatch closed and the ship rose slowly, leaving the moon behind. As they entered the vastness of space, Tarn looked out the window. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction, promising adventure and new challenges. Rilo's voice was calm. The universe is wide. Our journey is just beginning. During their voyage, Tarn and Rilo faced many tests. They encountered strange planets, unknown creatures, and mysteries that challenged their skills and beliefs. But no matter what, they worked as one. Tarn's quick thinking and Rilo's strength balanced perfectly. Together they faced dangers and made new friends. Their story became one of hope, a tale that showed how different beings could unite for a greater good. One evening, as the ship sailed past a glowing nebula, Tarn spoke quietly. I never imagined I would find a friend like you. Rilo looked at him, eyes full of warmth. And I never imagined I would find a home among humans. The two smiled, knowing their bond was stronger than any star. As the ship continued toward unknown worlds, Tarn and Rilo knew they carried more than weapons and skills. They carried a promise that unity and courage could overcome any darkness. The stars were waiting, and so their adventure would go on.